Hello, hi. Do we have any participants? Any questions? So please feel free to raise your hand and you can be moderated and you could ask questions. And if you want, you could type any question that you have and feel absolutely free to ask questions. Okay? We welcome you all. It looks like we don't have any participants, right? It's almost like close to half an hour. Maybe we'll wait. People may join in after 5 o'clock. Hello, Prabodh and Praveen. I request you to unmute, and if there are any questions, unmute yourselves. And if there are any questions from the forum, I think we can have some discussions from any questions that we have from the forum. Okay, so feel absolutely free to post the questions, and we can have a lively discussion if there are any questions through the forum.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, yes.
Hello. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So one of the questions asked in the forum was, in stability definition, why do we need the input to be bounded? And I mean, isn't it enough to say a system is stable if output is bounded? Also, is it possible to have a system with output bounded even though input is not bounded? In other words, does bounded output need input to be bounded? That was one of the questions asked by what is this person's name? Yeah, this was one of the questions asked in the forum, one of the earliest questions.
Okay, that's a question on BIBO stability. So BIBO stability means bounded input and bounded output. That means input is also bounded and output is also bounded. And one of the questions that you're asking here is, let's say the input at some point was at infinity, right? It was spurious noise that shot up to infinity, and then let's say like an impulse, and at a singleton at a small point, it just shot up. But if you look at the measure of that integrated over any interval, it is essentially zero. I mean it integrates one in the case of an impulse, the definition of delta Dirac, or maybe it's just a decay, right? It shoots up just a singleton, and when you take this measure, essentially it's nothing. So this question can happen, and the output in response to such a system could give you a bounded output. But again, this question of the input, the BIBO in general for most natural signals, we expect the signal to be, if the discrete or continuous, it has a certain signature, and basically doesn't, unless it's a periodic signal where it is which goes to infinity. Ideally, it is, there is a bound there essentially, right? So it has a bounded input, and it's bounded input, and the response of the system is in general bounded. But for certain inputs, though they are bounded, the response may blow up because of the poles of the transfer function, or what, the way they are situated, and how it just amplifies essentially the signal that results in the output being unbounded. So that is the reason why we want to emphasize this condition on BIBO stability, that input is bounded and output is bounded. And I think that sort of answers hopefully your question. And if the output is bounded, input is not bounded, that leads to a situation like a pathological situation, or at some point you just have impulse that shoots up, and if it is going to be shooting up at all frequencies in the spectrum, it's very unlikely that the output would be bounded, right? So does it answer the question? Prabodh, do you have any comments? You want to add anything to it?
Yes, sir. This I had responded to this, sir. From a design standpoint, whenever we are designing a system, we intend to design with bounded inputs in mind. That was one of the points that I had to say. So we may see that for an unbounded input, we may have a bounded output, but that does not contradict with our BIBO stability. Our BIBO stable, if we say a system is BIBO stable, we can all guarantee that for a bounded input, we'll get a bounded output. We do not guarantee anything for an unbounded input. Then one more point is, in real practical systems, we do not often deal with or at least design for unbounded inputs, because for example in most real system an unbounded inputs get saturated off. You have, so if you're dealing with things like op-amps and normal circuits, they will go reach saturation before your actual input shoots. At some point it will reach saturation, so then the input again practically becomes unbounded, sorry, bounded, even though we have reached a nonlinear zone. And the second part of the question was, is there an example of a system where inputs can be, where input is unbounded, but output can be bounded? So he asked for an example. One example was zero system, simplest system, where the output trivial, the most trivial case, the output will always be zero, even if input is bounded. Another case was a thresholding system. I had given an example, even though it is a non-linear system. A simple thresholder, beyond the threshold it will give an output, it will give 1, and below the threshold it will give 0. This is another example, even though this is a non-linear system.
Yeah, those are good points, really good points, because I think, yeah, these are concrete examples. And in general, yes, practically, thinking about something which is infinite, you just cannot just store that value, or it's just, it's always limited by a limiting thing, which is saturating, either, as Prabodh mentioned, through a clipping function or something like that, right? I mean, practical things are all bounded typically, and you cannot store a value such as infinity is just a representation, nor could you imagine so you can just imagine that it could be a spurious signal, but the system would not admit that, right? Most practical systems don't admit that. I mean, it just clips at that point. And this is one way that you could interpret, where the input could be unbounded potentially and the output could be bounded. Mathematically, this is what it means, that you have a pulse, or I would say very like an impulse that shoots to infinity, but its measure is essentially zero. I mean, if you just integrate over a small interval, it's nothing. So, okay. Any other questions?
Sir, as of now, there have been no questions asked in the forum.
Okay.
Yeah, this was one of the questions that was asked in the forum. Other
Yeah,
questions are mainly timings and those related. Technical questions, we have not seen any.
Even general questions, if there were any in the forum that you would want to present them
so
here.
There were one was on extension of exam and
extension of the exam.
Not exam, I mean assignment, and
Okay.
some were related to exam, some were concerned as to how the exam will be. Will it be CBT or paper and pen based? So I think that's already clear from the instructions that
it's going to be a computer based test. Yeah. Ideally, we would like to have manual exams where you write, and hopefully we have to evolve our tools also using AI and schemes such that they can do your document reading, and then they can get intelligence, and they can grade your scripts. So because if the number of participants are large, it would be humanly difficult to grade exams, right? So that's the reason why we look into the CBTs from NPTEL, but things may change. If it's a small class, then one can have an exam where you could write, and then it could be manually graded. Any other questions? I think it's quite thin participation. I would have expected that there would be a lot more people.
So I think there wasn't enough. I'm not sure whether there was enough publicity for this, whether the participants even knew that such an event is happening.
Yeah, we should. And how many are crediting this course? Prabodh, do you have any idea?
I have not seen, sir.
I mean, from the assignments, you get an idea, right? How many are doing assignments and submitting, turning them on? I mean, turning those assignments in.
So I'll have to check, sir. Or Rashmi, do you have any input? I haven't checked how many are there.
Yeah, I think we should
checking
take
the
stock
forum.
of that. Yeah, we should take
I
stock
keep
of
checking
that.
the forum, but I
Yeah.
haven't checked this.
Around 120 people have registered, and
Mhm.
around 10 to 15 have been submitting assignments regularly.
10 to 15 have been submitting, turning in assignments. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, then
That's what the course
okay.
dashboard is showing.
So still a small number. Yeah. I mean, if it is 10, then we can even switch to non-CBT.
So maybe others may pick on later on, or maybe they are auditing. So
Yeah, it could be that we would like to just take up and may not be wanting to give the exam, and it would
So
they
next
just want to
time-
learn
next
things.
time we
That
will-
could also be one of the reasons. Yeah.
next time we can, in advance, we can inform, or in the forum itself, we will put that. Please note that we are holding the live session.
Yeah, I think we should. And I've also
Yeah.
requested MathWorks in case they are willing to have certain sessions.
Yes,
I mean, at least 3 to 4 sessions where some of these tools and other things can be discussed. And I think this is welcome. And if we can just get this survey from the students who are creating this course, and if they think this would be helpful, I would be more than happy, because I've already initiated this and the MathWorks is interested. So something can be worked to that effect where, some online sessions through MathWorks could be held as part of this course, so that they get acclimatized to the tools and some of these things that can help them to build upon algorithms and try things out. Yeah, any other questions?
no, sir. Those were all.
None? I think if
No.
that's the case, then I think maybe we can call this, there's none who's logged in, right? None.
No.
So it's very sparse. Okay, so if this is the case, then I think, so I'll let the NPTEL IAC host, decide for us what's the best way. So Maya, are you there as part of this call?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What do you suggest?
Yeah, we can close now, sir.
We could close, right? Yeah.
Yes,
So I
sir.
think, we could close. I think.
Sir.
Next time we will inform a bit in advance.
Yes.
We will
No, I
inform
think,
week in advance.
yeah, we have sent a 2 times announcement and we sent SMS also. I think
Okay.
maybe because of COVID, many students are not coming. I don't know. Because
I mean, that should be more an initiative for people to at least, you can log on via online, wedding, everything. So they should be.
we are sending SMS also to all the learners.
Yeah.
So before we are sending only announcement, now we are sending SMS also. But then also some students are not.
Yeah, I think we need participation. See, I think maybe we have to adjust our policies in such a way that there's also class participation, right? Like we do through our ISC courses, where we have attendance and things that we monitor. We could have participation and some credit for that.
Yeah,
that will also encourage. Yeah, we should do
correct.
that part of our grading than just assignments and just one final exam. I think we should make it more lively. Have some more manual, graded assignments, some projects, group projects that they can try, and also participation. So we should
Correct.
figure out some ways to get participants involved.
So there's a
Okay.
general question in the YouTube forum. Bhuvanesh is asking, for a signal processing PhD research, what are the skills required apart from this course? And what are the
What is required for signal processing research apart from this course? Is it?
Yes.
Okay. See, signal processing is a very broad area, and there is general signal, theory methods that people think of. There is also applied, applications, whether it is, like speech, multimedia, speech, image, video, biomedical, or quantum, or any area, right? Within this is a very broad area. So you have to figure out what is it that interests you and how you can latch on to this. What you require as a prerequisite, right? As I told you in the very few slides, introductory slides as part of the course, that you need to cover all these areas. I mean, it's impossible to cover all the areas. You get interested in, you pick up on some of these tools, and then you just dive deep into the research, right? And that's how it works. So whatever the courses that you're taking, like for example, mathematical methods or signal estimation detection, random processes, these are all like, they sets the background for your research, and your individual research will have to go deeper into a problem or some topics. Okay, I hope this addresses your question. Next.
So that is all. From the
That is all. Okay. Okay, if this is the thing, then I think we'll call it an end. And I wish all the people all the best, all the participants or creditors, all those who are registered for the course, all the best. So we need more lively participation. So I think we'll announce next time a little in advance, and at least in the forum also we'll inform. And please do participate, and we value your suggestions and see what what we could do to get you more involved, and and make this more enjoyable as part of your learning. Okay, wish you all the best.